Good evening. Well, it's fair to say promotion and relegation issues in the Football League have been put into perspective when placed alongside the events surrounding Fabrice Muamba, who collapsed during Bolton's FA Cup tie with Tottenham this evening. According to reports tonight, Fabrice is in a critical condition, and our thoughts, of course, remain with him and his family. Well, Steve's with me this evening as we take you through Saturday's games in the Football League. And we start at the top of the Championship, which at this stage looks increasingly like a three-horse race, with Southampton, West Ham and Reading looking to go up automatically. The Royals' point in midweek was significant in that it moved them into the top two for the first time this season. Well, we'll see how Sam Allardyce's Hammers got on shortly. First up, though, the top two, who both had away games to contend with.
Nice to see you again.
Millwall were the last team to get the better of Nigel Adkins' Southampton, knocking them out of the FA Cup last month. But Saints were hoping to build on a 9-match unbeaten run in the league. Ricky Lambert was last week named the Championship's Player of the Year, and he was close to adding to his 21 league goals with that early effort. Former Saints keeper Mike Taylor perhaps got a touch to it on his Millwall debut. Just after a quarter of an hour, the home defence was breached again. Danny Fox played in Morgan Schneiderlin, and Lambert couldn't miss, although he almost did. Joy for the travelling Saints fans. Same old story for the hosts. With just 1 point gained from a possible 18 at the Den, Millwall's home form is threatening their Championship status. But a great run from Andy Keogh helped the Lions to level. Jose Font, the unfortunate Saints defender. That equaliser may have been against the run of play, but from being a goal up, Southampton found themselves a goal down before the break. A corner not cleared, and a special shot from Paul Robinson, his first goal in over a year. So Millwall 2-1 ahead, and on their way to getting the better of the Saints again. And they almost had a third when Hammer Boatsa was through, only to be foiled by Kelvin Davis. It would prove to be a crucial moment, as with just 5 minutes to play, Lambert was tripped by Robinson, and Southampton had a lifeline. Lambert took the penalty himself to level for the Saints, and that's how to take a spot kick under pressure. But it wasn't the end of the drama. 3 minutes later, as Southampton pushed for a winner, Alan Dunn was penalised for handball, another penalty. Ricky Lambert claimed his 8th goal in his last 5 appearances, his 4th hat-trick of the season, ensuring that Southampton stay top of the Championship.
Very tough. We had the, good lead. Kelvin Davis made a crucial save at 2-1 from Hammer Boatsa when he was through on goal, which would have made it 3-1 to us, which was a slightly defining moment, I felt, because it gave them the opportunity to stay in the game. And then, 2 big calls at the end by the referee.
Ricky Lambert linked up well with Billy Sharp, who we'd introduced for the first one. It was a penalty. Robinson's clipped his feet as he's gone in, so I've seen the video on that one. And obviously the last couple of minutes, the referee gives a penalty, big talking point. I've looked at the video. The referee's got a clear view of it. He's made a clear, quick decision on it. You've got our player and you've got Dunn, the Millwall player. Both have got arms in the air. Is it our player or is it their player? One would say it's their player. Somebody else would say it'll be our player.
Hayden Mullins made a first Reading start after moving from Portsmouth. His team's 8-match winning run came to an end with a draw at Doncaster during the week, and now they faced another trip to South Yorkshire, Barnsley the opposition this time. It was a tight first half, but Michaeli Ledgerwood's effort tested Tykes keeper Luke Steele as the hosts kept it at 0-0 by the break. But the second half would be very different. Just 2 minutes had been played when Jason Roberts did well to set up Joby McAnuff, the Reading captain calmly putting his team ahead. Barnsley boss Keith Hill had said that he was appalled by his team's recent form, with just 1 win in their previous 8. And when McAnuff's shot was blocked, he was still able to head across as it fell to Jem Kadachan to double the Reading lead. That was something of a poacher's goal for Kadachan, but his second and Reading's third was something special. How's this for a strike from the Turkish midfielder, who'd only scored once all season before this game? And with 25 minutes left, enough was enough for some of the Barnsley fans. And it wouldn't get any better for those who stayed. Jason Roberts had been a threat all afternoon, and he scored in the final minute to cap a comprehensive win. That's 9 victories out of 10 for Brian McDermott's upwardly mobile Reading.
We got stronger as the game went on, and this group of players that I've got, we do get stronger as games go on, as the season goes on, and we played some really good stuff at the end and we won the game.
They're one of the most effective teams that we've played against this season. Really encouraged by the first half performance, but what happened after that was down to lack of belief, confidence, self-esteem, you know, and it can de-energise you and it can drain you, and it did do.
Well, let's start then with Reading's terrific victory at Barnsley, Steve. I mean, there's no sign of Brian McDermott's men letting up at the minute.
No, I mean, what you can say is that they do seem, we say, a very consistent team. And I say the emphasis on the team because that's exactly what they're doing. Everybody seems to be playing their part. Everybody seems to know their role. Everybody seems to be playing their role very well. And we've got 3 different scorers again today. So everyone's obviously sharing the load.
Yeah, terrific second half performance from them. As for Southampton, talk about drama with their game. 2 penalties from Ricky Lambert in what was a hat-trick at the end of the day. He says he relishes the challenge of being up there at the business end of the table, and they're certainly rising to it.
Well, he certainly relishes it, doesn't he? He's going on. These were, you know, when you think Millwall got themselves in a decent position here, there's really no need to give away the 2 penalties. They're clear penalties. Obviously, Paul Robinson and Lambert, and then I don't know what Alan Dunn's doing there. He just decides to punch the ball over his own goal. And, you know, you're not going to... This lad has not missed a penalty for Southampton. He reminds you a little bit of Matt Letizia, doesn't he? He's sort of following in the same footsteps. You're going to give penalties away, he's going to score them.
He went the same way twice.
He did. I mean, I thought maybe the keeper might have gone that way second time round, but obviously, you know, he's so confident. And whatever you say, if you're a teammate and you see him stepping up to take a penalty, you don't expect him to miss.
The fantastic wins then for both Reading and Southampton. Those results meant West Ham would have to win to maintain the pressure on the top 2. The Hammers were looking to equal a club record 11th away win at Leeds, whose playoff hopes were boosted after sweeping aside Middlesbrough last Sunday. As you can imagine, there was a great atmosphere at Ellen Road for the meeting of 2 of the league's heavyweights, and it was watched by Alistair Mann.
It's a meeting of 2 sides who spent longer in the Premier League than out of it and who now believe that they've the stature to grace it once again. While Leeds are eyeing a playoff place, West Ham seek the automatic route with just 6 weeks of the regular season remaining. Well, Neil Warnock has targeted another 22 points from Leeds' final 10 games to secure that top 6 finish. 3 clean sheets in his 4 matches at the helm show his defence are demonstrating all the right qualities, but just 2 goals scored in that time is of genuine concern. Ross McCormack's netted 16 times this season, but none since Warnock took charge. Leeds are unchanged. Well, having failed to win the last 4 home games, West Ham may well have been looking forward to this trip to Ellen Road. Injury to Ricardo Vaz-Tey, though, is untimely, so Nicky Maynard replaces him. New signing Danny Collins makes his first start, while Joey O'Brien returns. Carlton Cole is squeezed to the bench as the Hammers opt for just 1 striker. Good tackle by Clayton, one back by Noble, Tompkins, O'Brien. Well, you can't fault Leeds' effort and commitment, can you? Plenty of endeavour to admire, and the West Ham players are having to be patient, but Maynard with a little glimpse and Lonergan with the first save of the match. Good goalkeeping by Andy Lonergan. Well, Leeds were working hard to close down the space, but Sam Allardyce is reflecting on the best chance of the match so far falling the way of Maynard. Just a little hesitancy from OD, and Lonergan had to come out and smother Maynard. Here's McCormack. Now Clayton. Beautifully done. Ball into the area is pretty good as well. Snodgrass, Becchio, can't quite get there. McCartney cleared, Brown on towards Snodgrass, claims of handball, the flag is waving and it's right on the edge of the area. And Taylor is saying it hit my chest, not my arm, but he's not going to change Scott Ledger's mind. Well, the ball bounced up and hit Taylor, and the assistant said it was a handball. But his arm was out. Difficult to see whether or not it hit his arm, or as he's suggesting, his chest. Scott Ledger felt that it was indeed the arm, and Leeds have a free kick on the edge of the area. Snodgrass! Just beyond the post. Well, Rob Green hurled himself across to get there. He thought it might well have gone in the corner. It just didn't. How far is that beyond the far post? Oh, it's a foot at most. Here's Collison. Claims of handball by Collison. The assistant had a really good view of it, and Glenn Turner just pointed for a corner. Collison knocking it. May have just brushed Michael Brown's hand. Here's Snodgrass. And really good covering by McCartney. West Ham have a man down now. Tompkins, I think it is. Oh, it is. It's just a pull, isn't it? They're sometimes the most damaging injuries, aren't they, when there's nobody anywhere near, and Leeds! Oh no, it won't count. There's a foul. There's a foul before Snodgrass put it in. The referee is signalling a foul. Neil Warnock never really got the chance to celebrate. Snodgrass turned it in, but the whistle had already blown. Some tussling on the near post, and Peter Walton saw a little tug, and it is still 0-0. So the dice with a half-time cuppa. Taylor's delivery, and a flick from Carlton Cole, and he is looking at the heavens and suggesting that maybe he's unlucky not to score there. He came across his marker, as did Abdoulaye Faye, just behind him actually. Not seen too much from Leeds in an attacking sense. Here's McCormack. Free kick to Leeds. Foul by O'Neill on White. McCormack floats it in. And Connolly! Fantastic save by Green. Best save of the match, made by Rob Green to deny Connolly. Collison. It's a free kick. Foul by Michael Brown. Background, there's tempers frayed. And if you weren't aware of the significance of this game, these pictures will tell you. Becchio's furious, O'Brien is furious. Here's Snodgrass, up towards Webber. Webber faced by Collins. Tackle by Collins, corner. Eight minutes to go. Neil Warnock hoping, maybe even anticipating, late drama at Ellen Road. Snodgrass with the delivery. O'D jumped, Nolan won it. Here's Becchio. Snodgrass. Teaser. Green gets there. Connolly off the ball and turned in by Becchio. And Leeds are ahead. Oh, he loves it, Neil Warnock. Just before that corner was taken, he had a look at a guy who just sensed that maybe it was coming. Becchio, right in front of the crossbar, heads it in. Connolly's back header, and there's Becchio. And he just flicks it into the unguarded goal. With just over 6 minutes to go, a huge goal for Leeds United. A huge goal in the race for promotion. It's Leeds 1, West Ham United 0. Cole, McCartney. He's done well, McCartney. Delivery's too close to Lonergan, but he takes no chances and tips it over the bar. Well, they're not there yet, Leeds. McCartney pushing forward. Miss-hit the cross, really. But Lonergan couldn't take the risk of catching it. Sam Allardyce's men pushing for an equaliser. Noble's delivery. And the equaliser arrives. And it's Collins. His first goal for West Ham. Well, he's only been a West Ham employee for a matter of days. There's a wry smile on Sam Allardyce's face. He's a rare scorer, Danny Collins, but he got there when Leeds felt that they might be getting towards those 3 points. Scored 3 goals on loan at Ipswich earlier this season, and in only his second appearance for West Ham, he scored another vital one for them. And now it's the West Ham fans who are singing, going through the songbooks as Forsell heads it wide. As always, going off target from Forsell. Helped on by Becchio, and Forsell was off target.
In the position that we're in, playing away from home and getting your best spell coming towards the latter stages of the game, we just failed to produce that little bit of quality you need to either finish a chance or create a chance. And we got some quality to create some chances, but we couldn't find the quality apart from the header from Danny to disrupt Leeds' defence that little bit more.
You know, it's good to be disappointed when you haven't beat West Ham, isn't it, really? But one or two things didn't go for us. The young lad's got to learn, you know, he's marking the lad. But in fairness, the referee's in a great position for the corner kick, and Carlton Cole clearly pushes Darren a day, worse than what Becchio does for his disallowed goal. You just got to get a hope that you get a rub of the green. I don't know what, you know, the referee's in a great place, nobody between him. And he, you know, it allows the goal. I think things like that are what's, you know, like Southampton against us. You just need a little bit of luck when you're up there, and I think West Ham got a fair share today.
How does it feel to grab an important equaliser today?
It feels good, yeah. You know, with Leeds scoring so late on as well, you know, we thought we'd lost the game, I think. But you know, credit to us, we've carried on, we've dug in, and we've managed to come up with a goal. You know, at the end, I caught it a bit scruffy. I think it hit me on the shoulder and lobbed in, but I'll take it.
It's a great atmosphere here today, which is one of what you see in the Championship. You know, two teams with great history going head to head, not in the division they want to be in. And in the end, we've come away with what you have to respect as a good point, because irrespective of what happened in the first 80 minutes, whether it was us or them, they went 1-0 up, and we showed great character to come back and get the 1-1.
Yeah, well, over 33,000 packed into Ellen Road, and they were treated to an absorbing game at the end of it, but nothing to choose from between the two of them.
Well, no, not really. I mean, probably for 80 minutes, it looked like both were more intent on possibly not losing the game than winning it. Reflecting on the game, probably could have done with a goal early on, and it would have just got it going, maybe a fraction earlier.
We heard from Neil Warnock there, a couple of complaints from him, which is nothing unusual, I suppose. But did he have a case to answer?
Well, he can't have it both ways. I mean, I think both incidents are quite similar. Fairly innocuous pushes, in fact. This one is Becchio. Snodgrass actually puts it in. Peter Wharton does blow very early here. But is he just standing his ground? Is there an arm in the back? I mean,
you don't even see the West Ham players.
No, I mean, there's not an awful lot in it. And as you say, the reaction most of the time from the players gives it away. And here, O'Day and Cole just go together. They come together, there's a coming together, and they both fall down together. I don't think there's an awful lot in that. So, I mean, Neil can't have it one way and also the other way.
But West Ham had a decent shot for a penalty at the end, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think they did as well. I actually forgot to mention that. But, yes, Michael Brown comes across, and I don't know what he's trying to do, whether he's trying to get his arms out of the way or protect his face, but it certainly hits his arm in the box, and we've seen them given. I wouldn't have liked to have seen either team win this, really, because I don't think either team really deserved to. So it was the right result in the end.
There's no doubt Leeds are now harder to beat. I mean, they've conceded just the 2 goals in the last 5 games, at the detriment of scoring the goals, I suppose. They had a chance. They thought they were maybe in the pole position to snatch it right at the end. 5 points off the playoffs now with 9 to play. Can you see them doing it?
Well, I mean, I've managed to see them at length over the last 3 games, and Southampton, they were very, very good. Middlesbrough, they were excellent, and obviously this is against one of the top sides in the division yet again, and more than held their own. So 5 points at this stage, there's no reason why they can't make that up.
To the rest of the Championship now, starting with the teams in and around the playoff places, and that list was led by Middlesbrough, who on Saturday travelled to another team desperate for a top 6 finish, Birmingham City.
It's been a long season for Birmingham. The visit of Middlesbrough was their 50th match of the campaign in all competitions. A run of 4 Championship games without a win had seen the Blues slip out of the playoff places, and they were troubled early on by the visitors, but Boaz Myhill was equal to Lukas Jukovic's effort. Borough were looking for a 3rd straight away win, but they were behind after just 11 minutes. Chris Burke sent in a cross that the 6'8" Nikola Zigic had to stoop to reach. It's the Blues' home form that has kept them in contention. They've only been beaten once at St Andrews in the league this season. Burke tried his luck from distance, but couldn't get the better of Jason Steele. Middlesbrough were the first team to play Birmingham at St Andrews over a century ago, but it's not been a happy hunting ground for them of late. They've won just 1 of their last 11 here in the league, and Joe Bennett's goal was ruled out for offside. Scottish winger Burke was recognised by Championship managers as one of the 10 best players at this level, and when he set up one-time Borough boy Marlon King, it was Burke's 13th assist of the season, more than any other Championship player. Just 3 minutes later, the visitors conceded again. Adam Hamill lost possession to Keith Fahy, and the Irish winger just kept on running and running. And he then had the finish to match. The game was all but over, but Blues keeper Myhill was still alert enough to produce a superb save from Seb Hines in the closing moments. So a return to winning ways on St Patrick's Day for former Republic of Ireland international Chris Hughton.
I think we got back to how we've been for a large part of the season, and perhaps some of the mistakes that we've made in the last few games, the last few weeks, we didn't make today. I thought it was a real good all-round team performance.
Gus Poyet was given the Football League's Outstanding Managerial Achievement Award last week for leading the Seagulls into the Championship in his first job as manager, and they're more than holding their own. Just off the playoffs and unbeaten in the league in 2012, and they went ahead at Bloomfield Road thanks to Joe Mattock's header from the Vicente corner. Blackpool had lost their last 2 and need to find their form quickly to revive their playoff challenge, but they're the only side to have scored in every Championship game in 2012, and that's still the case as Ian Evatt levelled. Then within 3 minutes the hosts were ahead. In his 38th appearance of the season, Kevin Phillips scored his 14th goal in all competitions. Brighton's hopes of getting back into this match were dealt a blow when Gonzalo Jada lunged at Keith Southern, and referee Simon Hooper decided to send the Chilean defender off. His first red after 7 yellows this season. And so it was Kevin Phillips again who finished Albion off with 10 minutes remaining to inflict a first league defeat of the year on Gus Poyet's Brighton.
Of course I would prefer to keep the unbeaten run, but it wasn't to be. We were poor today. We didn't make good decisions. We didn't deserve anything from the game.
It's a great result for us. We needed it. Probably the biggest of the season so far, I would say.
Undefeated in 10 league matches and with the tightest defence in the Championship, Hull headed to London in search of their first victory at Palace in 27 years. The Tigers have scored less than a goal a game away from home in the league this season. Corey Evans demonstrated why they've got only 16 goals in their 17 away games. Palace have also found goals hard to come by this season, scoring only 18 in 16 at home in the Championship. Chris Martin tried his luck. Palace's best chance of the opening period came on the stroke of half-time. Jonathan Williams, without a league goal so far this season, shooting straight at Vito Manone. His opposite number, Julian Speroni, was finally called into action in the second half to deal with Hull sub Tom Kearney's free kick. And despite their best efforts, neither side could break the deadlock. with Sean Scannell and Jonathan Parr both coming close late on. Both sides extending their unbeaten runs in the Championship. Crystal Palace to 9, Hull to 11.
Very positive day for Crystal Palace. You know, we showed again that we play a team in the top 6 and they've got nothing to fear. Not a lot in it at all. It's good for our character building to know that we can come up against teams like that and compete.
I'm pleased with the point. I think it's a tough place to come to win a game or to draw a game. They're going to take a lot of points off teams at Palace. They're a good side, well drilled side. So it's been a good week for us.
Two informed teams met at the Keepmoat Stadium. Doncaster, who just ended Reading's 100% run and are off the bottom of the table, are undefeated in 5. Derby have won 2 of their last 3, including Tuesday's win over deadly rivals Nottingham Forest, where incidentally managers Nigel Clough and Dean Saunders were teammates. It was Derby who struck first in the 13th minute. Theo Robinson keeping a cool head to chip the on-rushing Carl Ikeme and claim his 8th league goal this season. Doncaster had several chances to go in level at the break. They've got some well-known and well-travelled names in their ranks these days. Good work from El Hadj Diouf, presented Frederick Piquillon with the best attempt, but he couldn't beat Frankie Fielding in the Derby goal. Why is it that players always score against their former clubs? Maybe someone should ask Derby defender Gareth Roberts, who did just that 10 minutes after the restart with a superb effort to double his team's advantage. Naturally, it was his first for Derby in 57 starts. But whereas the 2011 Doncaster team might have folded at 2-0 down, the 2012 model fought back. El Hadj Diouf with the finish after a flick-on from Giles Barnes, who used to play for Derby. The Rams could have had a third goal late on, but Paul Green had strayed into an offside position. So 2 days before his birthday, Nigel Clough got an early 3-point present. Former Derby striker Dean Saunders got nothing.
Half chances we had didn't go in. And the game sort of didn't fizzle out, but I thought Derby deserved to take the points.
To get the 2 wins in the 2 games, and today, especially on the back of all the effort that went in on Tuesday in the local derby, great effort by the players.
4 points from safety, and without a win on their Championship travels yet this season, it's possible that Coventry made their way to Watford more in hope than expectation. The Hornets, who have kept only 2 clean sheets at home this season in the league, must have known their luck was in when Nathan Cameron's effort was disallowed. Thomas Cusack was the busier of the 2 keepers and did well to keep Oliver Norwood's first-half effort out. Late on in the game, Sky Blues sub Cody MacDonald raced clear of the home defence, but Adrian Mariappa was in the right place at the right time for Watford as the match ended goalless.
Revenge is a dish best served cold and maybe damp too, as Ipswich welcomed Peterborough to Portman Road. In August, Peterborough had won the reverse fixture 7-1. Goals are almost inevitable in games involving these two. Ipswich's league matches this season had produced 119, Peterborough's 111, and since Tyrone Barnett arrived from Crawley this year, Peterborough look even more potent. The scoring bug at Ipswich, meanwhile, is catching. Prior to last Saturday's match at Hull, Grant Ledbetter had scored once this season. 2 in that game and another one in this after 15 minutes have seen him earn the tag prolific. But in 4 meetings, Peterborough have never lost a league match to Ipswich, and it was Barnett who brought Posh level after 34 minutes with his 3rd goal in 5 games. So 1-1 with just 13 minutes to go, but there was still to be time for 3 more goals. First, Ipswich's Damien Delaney's header was saved by Paul Jones, but Daryl Murphy followed up to put the Tractor Boys 2-1 ahead. Could they finally get a league win against Peterborough? Well, the visitors equalised 7 minutes from time, as sub Emile Sinclair looked to have denied Ipswich victory. 2-2, so you probably worked out someone was going to win. And that turned out to be Ipswich. Just 2 minutes later, Aaron Cresswell going into the record books as the first Ipswich player to score a winning league goal against the Posh. Paul Jewell's side have now taken 20 points from a possible 27.
At times, it was end to end, and certainly anyone who's been watching a game, neutral or otherwise, can't say they were entertained. I thought it was a great advert for honest Championship football.
The big standout for me this season has been when we've been really in control of games, we haven't taken our chances, and that would have got us an extra 12-15 points, I would have guessed, but something we have to learn for next season.
Bottom of the Championship and seemingly losing players by the day to lower the wage bill, these are tough times for Pompey. But the fans still turned out in force for the visit of Bristol City. The hosts were hoping to avoid a fourth straight defeat, and it was a tight first half, during which David Norris was the only player to register a shot on target. David James making the save. But James didn't look quite so confident when Chris Maguire fizzed in a cross. Thankfully for the former Pompey keeper, it came to nothing. The Robins are floundering themselves right now. They'd won just 1 of their last 9 and had lost their last 5 in the league on the road. Their best chance was a deflected Khalifa Cisse shot that almost wrong-footed Jamie Ashdown. Pompey had a great chance to claim all the points. It fell to Norris, but he was unable to find the finish. 0-0 the score, and more departures aren't out of the question at Fratton Park.
As everybody knows, that if a substantial offer comes and it's right for the player and the club, obviously then we might have to lose 1 or 2 more. But from our point of view, I can't think like that. I've just got to try and prepare with the players that I've got, and then if I get the phone call and the player gets the phone call, then obviously we'll deal with that from there.
Both teams would set out to try and win the game, and we wanted to win the game. But sometimes you don't always get what you want, and the positives being it's another point for us. And we're quest to stay in the Championship.
Yeah, slowly but surely as far as Bristol City are concerned. Not the ideal result for Portsmouth, however. Relief tonight for Birmingham, though, Steve. First win in 5. A lot of people thought maybe they're getting tired. 50th game on Saturday. But that was a big win to keep them in the playoff race.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, when you're talking about the side who they played against, they've leapfrogged one in the league. I think as well the manner of the performance was good as well. They looked good going forward. And really were, I thought, reasonably well in control of this game right the way through.
Uncharacteristic of Middlesbrough of late, isn't it? Conceding 5 in the last 2 games.
Yeah, not just conceding the 5, but probably the way in which they conceded. There were 1 or 2 goals today where I think Tony Mowbray will have a look at the video and think, we could have done an awful lot better on some occasions there, maybe to keep that ball out. And a few defensive frailties that they'll have to work on.
Another good comeback, the latest from Blackpool coming against Brighton, who've been in great run of form. Interestingly, Steve, Blackpool now 9 points better off than at this stage 2 seasons ago. And we all know what happened at the end of that season. So that bodes well for Ian Holloway, doesn't it?
Well, what they've done is they've benefited from being in the Premiership, haven't they? Because it's put an infrastructure in their club that means that they can then come back into the Championship, and instead of maybe having one good year in 6, they can have maybe 3 or 4 good years in 6. And that's what they're having. They're having one of their good years, and long may it continue, because they've been great to watch again. Great ethos of getting the ball down and playing, and and being entertaining, and they're getting their just desserts.
You get the idea that Kevin Phillips is going to have a big say as to what happens with Blackpool between now and the end of the season.
I think so, and do you know what? If I'm 37, 38 like Kevin Phillips is, I don't think it's the worst place to go and play my football, is it, Blackpool? Because you're going to get chances.
As for Doncaster, they lost to Derby, who suddenly find themselves, I suppose, with renewed hope that they can try and get into the playoff positions.
Well, it's been a good week for them, hasn't it? I mean, you're probably not going to go a lot lower. Around Leicester, I would say, with the game in hand, and they probably need to win that. I think what you've got to realise is when you're getting that sort of like just above mid-table, it's not so much. You can look at the points and say we can make those points up, but you've got to look at the number of teams that you've got to get above as well. We've also got a falter in front of you, so that's also something you've got to keep in mind.
It means Donny have only won 1 in 11. That William Mackay experiment at the Keepmoat hasn't taken off, has it?
Well, no, not really. I mean, there's probably a little bit of a lopsided look to their side. Obviously, some big name players there, but I think 1 win in 11 says that maybe they haven't really found the genie in the bottle yet, have they? So still work to be done. I mean, not the way that possibly I might go if you
might go about it.
Yeah, I think you probably want to put some sort of foundations that implement something that's maybe a long-term strategy in place. But that's the way that they've gone. And they've got to hope that they can get a couple of wins, and look, that's all they are, away from getting out of it.
On to League One then, and a month ago Gary Megson was leading Sheffield Wednesday's charge for automatic promotion, while Martin Allen was trying to drag Notts County up into the playoff places. 4 weeks on, it's been all change in both dugouts, and to great effect, with County and Wednesday bang in form, and the two met at Meadow Lane on Saturday.
As a couple of the Football League's longest serving names, there's very little that supporters of these two haven't seen over the years. But the ambitious owners of both clubs still managed to raise a few eyebrows when they dispensed with their managers on successive weekends last month. So far, with the desired effect. And since Keith Curle's arrival at Meadow Lane, Notts County have been reinvigorated, with 16 points from a possible 18 to move into a playoff place.
What was your remit when you came in?
The first objective was 50 points, which guaranteed the club stayed in the division. Then it was a case of getting the players confident, putting on a show, expressing themselves, and basically building football foundations for the football club. The infrastructure's here, but it just needed a slight change in football philosophy.
There must be nervousness when a new guy comes in. There must be a little bit of some know of them, some don't. What's he going to be like?
Of course, yeah. I think it's like 2 weeks. You say is like get through the first 2 weeks with a new manager, and obviously for us the first 2 weeks was pretty good. So there's no complaints. Yeah.
Mansfield, Chester, and then last in the game in 2007 at Torquay. Have you changed a lot in that time?
I've enjoyed the coaching side of football. I like being around the players. I like being out there on the coaching ground. But ultimately, I like players to express themselves weekly, daily, match by match.
I've got to be honest, I was a little bit dubious, but he's done an absolutely fantastic job. Really surprised us all.
There are a lot of people in Sheffield that I know, and they've said they're going to come here and they're going to quieten the Notts County crowd. I don't think they can do that. There's a belief that here now, people are believing what's coming out of the changing room. They're enjoying their football. The players have created a wave, and the supporters are getting on board.
It's still very early days for Dave Jones at Sheffield Wednesday, but his new team have closed the gap on second.
Is it me, or are the margins for error getting tighter and tighter, Dave? I mean, you've come in presumably knowing exactly what your chairman wants you to deliver.
In what way?
In terms of trying to get that second automatic promotion spot.
Well, listen, it's always going to be tight. Everybody seems now that if you finish third from top, you're a villain. If you finish third from bottom, you're a hero. Times seem to have changed. That's the way football is. It's the same as any club you go into. There's always pressure wherever you go. If it's pressure, I'll take it every day of the week because it's something I enjoy doing. It's my job. It's my life, and it's always nice to be top end and the bottom.
We've had this conversation before, Milan. Margins seem to be getting ever tighter from what you need for a manager. No room to manoeuvre at all. Automatic promotion or bust?
Absolutely. Well, just there's no guarantee in football, but this was aimed from the day one when I arrived here, and for a club like Sheffield Wednesday, not disrespect any other clubs in this league, but Sheffield Wednesday is a massive club that really needs to get out of this league.
Michail Antonio was Sheffield Wednesday's star at Meadow Lane as Notts County struggled to cope with his powerful runs. The winger on loan from Reading making the most of Jose Semedo's excellent pass. Only the finish was a disappointment. In the second half, Antonio was off on a charge again, with a surge from midfield which left 3 home players trailing in his wake, while Ryan Lowe was making a beeline for the 6-yard box, unmarked. Notts' unbeaten home record in 2012 now in serious danger, and gone when Gary Medine bamboozled a pair of defenders before finding the corner superbly. So Wednesday on course for a 3rd straight win and their first league double over Notts County for nigh on a century. There were just 2 minutes left when Lloyd Sam pulled one back, too late to prevent that first defeat since Keith Curle took charge.
We just got to keep plugging away and just trying to get as many points as we possibly can. But everybody in there is keeping the feet on the ground. It's a long, long way to go, and I can wax all the old lyrics, all the old sayings and everything else. But that's what they've got to do. There's no magic formula. The formula is having a good bunch of players who want to work hard and want to play in front of 4,500 away supporters. So now we go again on Tuesday. The chairman will be happy if I can put more bums on seats.
I think, being honest, it's a fair reflection to say that's probably the best unit or squad of players that we played against this season. Very well suited for the battle that's going to be asked of them. They've got good players, got a good bench that can come on and change games as well. Strong, organised. They've got a game plan. They don't let you settle. They don't let you pass and play. And I think it's not a moment. I think the conditions of the pitch today suited them rather than us.
Yeah, interesting meeting of the new boys. Dave Jones coming out on top on Saturday, and he certainly hit the ground running, isn't he? Has he surprised you?
No, I mean, they've got a decent side. They've been up there or thereabouts all year. So I think someone said the other day, maybe just allowing them maybe to play with a little bit more freedom. I don't know, but it doesn't surprise me they're getting results. I mean, they weren't that bad before he came, were they?
Yeah, as for Keith Curle, his first defeat, but he has won 5 of 7, though. He had to win over some of the doubters, including the chairman's wife, who said, you better know what you're doing. And he's doing OK, isn't he?
Yeah, he's doing fine. As you say, he's coming now. They've had a couple of 1-0 wins, haven't they? And as you say, 5 out of 7. It's just elevated them from just above mid-table up into the playoffs. I mean, yeah, they played a couple of games more than the sides around them, but they're in with a chance now. There's no doubt about that. They could have done without that today, to be fair.
No,
but
that's true.
It's been a good run so far.
More from League One then, and the leaders Charlton must be slightly bemused at recent events, having lost their last 2 league games. The first time that's happened this season. Well, they were looking to avoid a hat-trick of defeats when they headed north to face Scunthorpe.
After back-to-back defeats, Chris Powell and his squad had a frank discussion in the week. Initially, it looked as if the soul-searching might have done the trick. Bradley Wright Phillips' 6th goal in as many matches had the Addicts up and running. But Scunthorpe were quietly confident for this one. They're enjoying their longest unbeaten run in almost 4 years. And when Royce Wiggins clipped the heels of Gary Thompson, the Iron were awarded a 21st-minute penalty. John Parkin's goals have fuelled the Scunthorpe revival. From the spot, the Beast rolled home his 4th in 5 games. The second half was all Scunthorpe. This save from Andy Barcham was one of many from Ben Hamer. The Charlton keeper coming between Scunny and a win they felt they deserved.
I have to say, I thought the players gave everything they possibly could. The only thing that was missing was the final bit, but what an unbelievable effort again. Now we're playing top of the league, and we're coming off the back of I don't know how many games, Saturday, Tuesday, and again we finished really strong.
It's been a fairy tale start to Ronnie Moore's 3rd stint as Tranmere boss, but he could hardly have picked a more testing trip for his first game on the road. Chet Evans giving promotion chasing Sheffield United the lead. The striker's 26th goal of the season had the Blades in front by half-time, but this was far from a one-sided contest. 9 minutes after the break, Lucas Akins arrived unmarked to meet John Welsh's corner. The second time in a week that the Blades have squandered the lead, and Tranmere continued to ask questions. Stoke loanee Ryan Brunt got clear of United's back 4, leaving Steve Simonson as their last line of defence. In the end, the keeper did just enough, but the Blades are looking over their shoulders whilst the Ronnie revival continues.
We couldn't force that second goal, which would have given us a little bit of breathing space, quite honestly. We've had enough, of the ball, and we've had enough chances really to do that. But you've got to say how well they defended from Tranmere's point of view.
We played at high tempo to them. I don't know whether they felt it's only Tranmere and whatever, but the tempo that they normally have here wasn't there. But Alf's players, the lads give everything. That's all we ask. And on another day, we could have just nicked it with the chance that Brunty had.
Huddersfield keeper Alex Smithies won't forget this match in a hurry. Caught out inside the first 3 minutes by Colchester's man of the moment. 10 goals in 11 games for Stephen Gillespie, who clearly couldn't believe his luck. Simon Grayson's side missed a gilt-edged chance to draw level after the break. Danny Ward wrapping the woodwork. And it seemed the Terriers' fate would be sealed as the match moved into the last couple of minutes. Kemizit upended by Joey Goodjohnson as he burst into the box, pitting Anthony Wordsworth against Smithies to make sure of 3 points. The Huddersfield stopper doing a good job that time, but his early error still looked costly until an unlikely last gasp assist that cancelled out the mistake. Magnus Okiwonge, the man embarrassed at the final whistle, his own goal giving Huddersfield their 11th away draw of the season.
Having been measured up for their Wembley suits this week, Chesterfield started smartly against MK Dons. Drew Talbot was a striker before becoming a right back. He's now playing in midfield. On 4 minutes, he showed he still has an eye for goal. But barring a shock result against Huddersfield, the Spyrites will go to the JPT final, sitting bottom of League One. St Patrick's Day brought the best out of Jay O'Shea, the Irishman recording a memorable equaliser. The Dons couldn't manage a winner. Robert Hall came closest. Though on loan from West Ham, Hall is an Aylesbury lad. The teenager was inches away from becoming an instant local hero.
Lee Bradbury was given a vote of confidence by Chairman Eddie Mitchell this week, but after 5 successive defeats, the fans haven't been as forgiving. So a good start against Carlisle was imperative. But when Lee Miller put away his 14th of the season, it only served to crank up the pressure. If Bradbury's got the backing from the boardroom, he's also got it from the players. Miles Addison headed the equaliser 7 minutes from the end, the celebration a sign of solidarity.
Not much to shout about at Victoria Park. Back-to-back goalless outings for Hartlepool, who've gone 3 games without scoring despite the best efforts of Jack Baldwin, picked out by Evan Horwood's cross, only to be foiled by Chris Day's agility. Stevenage, who won for the first time in half a dozen league games last week, were back in the old routine, unable to find a winner either. A 4th draw in 5 kept them frustratingly just outside of the playoff pack.
A local derby provided Orient with the impetus they needed to at last record a home win in 2012. Kevin Lisby put the O's on their way to 3 points, but helped dispel fears of being sucked into the relegation battle. Not enough desire, that was the Uwe Rosler verdict on Brentford's display. Niall McGinn's header, well saved by Paul Rabchubka, was as good as it got for the Bees, whose playoff hopes are fading. With a daunting fixture list coming up, this might also be a season-defining result for Orient. They wrap things up before half-time, Jimmy Smith confirming a first win in 6.
On their own patch, Yeovil are a tough prospect these days, as Walsall will testify. Luke Ayling's terrific effort gave them an idea of what to expect. But the Saddlers' recent run suggested there would be no pushovers, and with just a minute of the first half to go, Sam Mantum squeezed his shot into the bottom corner. His first goal since arriving on loan from West Brom threatened to extend their unbeaten run to 7 matches. But that lead was wiped out just past the hour when Jonathan Franks took aim. A giant deflection off teammate Andy Williams had Yeovil level, and their leading scorer claimed his 14th of the campaign. Williams is a man in form, but it's not just his goal scoring that catches the eye, he can create them too. His inviting cross setting up Dean Parrott, who was brilliantly denied by David Groff. The keeper then had to be sharp for the rebound. But with 6 minutes to go, Yeovil stretched their unbeaten run at home to 6 matches. Williams hooking home to leave Walsall just a point clear of trouble.
In their attempt to climb off the bottom, Rochdale got just the start they wanted. A 3rd-minute goal for Michael Symes, his first since joining on loan from Bournemouth. A good volley, but it wouldn't be the best of the match. Chef Kikuchi took that honour as Oldham equalised. That had upped the ante for Symes, who'd have to find something really special to hog the headlines post-match. And a sharp finish among the second half penalty box pinball wasn't a bad start. That came just 2 minutes after the break, leaving Symes most of the second half to complete his hat-trick. He was handed the opportunity by James Tarkovsky's foul and earned himself the match ball with great composure. Oldham were missing midfielder Felipe Moraes, hospitalised with concussion after a car crash, though manager Paul Dickoff refused to look for any excuses afterwards. Ruben Reid gave the Latics hope of a late comeback, but they were heading for a 4th successive league defeat. David Lucas's save saw Rochdale safely over the line for their first win in 7 matches. And to round off Oldham's depressing day, Tarkovsky clipped Jean-Louis Akpa-Akpro a full 5 minutes into added time to earn himself a second yellow card and beat the rest back to the dressing room.
A long-awaited 2nd win for Graham Wesley's Preston, and a personal landmark for Ian Hume. North End's 12th minute opener was the 100th league goal of his 13-year career. Paul Tisdale says Exeter's injury crisis is the worst he's seen in 12 years of coaching. But the relegation-threatened Grecians still had their moments in this one. Torsten Stuckman was called upon to keep out Jamie Curitan's effort. But Exeter's injuries have given youngsters like Liam Sercombe their chance to shine. his second goal of the season, looked like heaping more frustration on North End. But Preston's win at Kent with just 6 minutes remaining. The occasionally erratic Artur Krusiak chose the wrong moment to go wandering from his line, and Hume, having already notched the century, moved to 101 not out.
A special day for Wycombe's Gary Waddock and Stuart Bevan. As the boss celebrated reaching the big 5-0, his leading marksman was the driving force behind their biggest away win of the season. With 4 minutes gone, Marvin McCoy's right-wing cross was neatly left by Paul Hayes, and Bevan did the rest. The perfect start for a team who'd lost their previous 6 matches away from home, whilst Bury's dismal start to 2012 looked set to continue. But Sean Harrod, fresh from a loan spell at Rotherham, headed them level just 7 minutes later. A pulsating start, and within 60 seconds, Waddock's men were back in the driving seat. McCoy just too slippery for Joe Scars, and via Ben Strevens, the ball eventually reached Hayes, who simply couldn't miss. Bury's winless run would stretch to 11 matches unless they could find a response. Grant Bassey's push on Mark Hughes early in the second half gave them the possible breakthrough. But when it mattered most, Giles Coke failed. And that proved to be the turning point, as Wycombe then coasted to victory. Bevan killed in his second to increase the lead to 3-1. This could be a significant win for the Chairboys, who've dragged Bury into the relegation dogfight. Bevan put the icing on the cake with a superb hat-trick. Bury, the first team since 1932 to lose 3 matches on the trot, 4-1.
Yeah, well done to Stuart Bevan. Vital win that for Wycombe. It gives them a fighting chance of staying up. Eventful game at Spotland, Steve, the local affair between Rochdale and Oldham. But a cracking goal, which didn't count for much either.
No, I mean, Shefty Kuchi will...
He's not going to score better ones than that, is he?
I mean, that's a fantastic strike. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the keeper's not a million miles off his line, but it's absolutely nowhere near. I mean, the power and the elevation of that strike, I don't think you could better that.
Another hat-trick we saw from Michael Symes at Rochdale. Ends a frustrating time for them, doesn't it, under John Coleman? First win in 7, but they've not been too far off the pace.
Yeah, I'm not sure that gives a true reflection of exactly how they played, because I think they've managed to get draws with Huddersfield, Sheffield Wednesday and Charlton. So, you know, they've been knocking on the door from some, you know, not far away from some really, really good results. They've benefited, obviously, from influx of money into Bournemouth, because they've let Michael Symes go. John knows him from Accrington Stanley, has acquired his services, and he was the difference today, there's no doubt about that. And if they continue the way they're going, they might not have picked up the wins, but they're getting the performances, you know, they've got a great chance of getting out of it.
Another man amongst the goals, Andy Williams at Yeovil. At the minute, he's scoring them from all sorts of angles, even when he doesn't mean to.
And off all parts of his body as well, yeah, fantastic. I mean, this one, as you can see, I mean, comes back, it's a good strike as well. It hits him on the back and then just loops into the goal.
Well, off his back anyway.
And then obviously, if you look at this one, he's actually trying to volley it. I think it's probably going wide, but it takes deflection off the Walsall defender and finds its way into the back. And when things are going for you like they are, like most centre forwards, they find that you've got to be in the right place at the right time, and that's what he did. It doesn't matter how you get the ball in the back of the net.
No.
You know, it doesn't matter what part it hits, as long as it goes into the back of the net. And that's what he's done today, and he's won them the game.
It means Gary Johnson continues to do well in his second spell in charge at his old club Yeovil. The same goes for Ronnie Moore as well in his third spell at Tranmere. And Tranmere had a wretched away form going into their trip to Bramall Lane, losing 8 of their last 9. And they come away with a decent point.
It was a decent point. I mean, I don't think at any stage Sheffield United totally convinced in this game. I thought there was always a chance that Tranmere would get some. I mean, that's, when you look at that, the mark in there is absolutely shocking. But it's another good result. Didn't work for Ronnie when he went back to Rotherham, sort of thing. But going back to Tranmere, he certainly he's managed to turn things around.
So we mentioned the Wycombe game and the hat-trick for Stuart Bevan. What it meant at the end of it is that Bury haven't won in 11 games now. Their fans will be, I suppose, more concerned at the fact that they've got one of the least experienced managers at the wrong end of the table. But survival, at the end of the day, is their ultimate target, isn't it?
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I would imagine, you know, if someone said to them at the start of the season, what is your brief, it would be first and foremost to stay in this division. Unfortunately, they've got their points early, and all of a sudden they've hit a really bad spell, and they are the droppers. And this generally tends to happen in most of the leagues, where you do get 1 or 2 sides that drop down the league very quickly. If they'd done it the other way round and they got in this position, everything would be fine. I mean, they're 5 points above relegation. I still say at the start of the season, if you give them this position, they'd have probably taken it.
And for Wickham, with Gary Waddock celebrating his 50th birthday today, he'll be relieved tonight, but he doesn't know what he gets from his sides at the minute, does he?
Well, I mean, I think they've won, is it 3 out of 5?
Yeah.
But when
they swing from one result to another,
I mean, they win 4-1, they lose 4-1, they win 4-2, then they get another big result, and then it goes against them. So he'll be scratching his head wondering exactly what he's doing. But if they continue in the same vein over the last 5 or 6 games and get the same results and replicate that till the end of the season, they'll probably stay up. So he'll settle for that.
As for League Two, well, the Swindon Town juggernaut just keeps on rolling with 12 wins in the last 13, putting them 7 points clear going into the weekend. On Saturday, the latest team to try to upset Paolo Di Canio's side was Inform Crew.
Another fine afternoon for League Two's newly named Apprentice of the Year. 17-year-old Nick Powell collected the award last weekend, and when his shot just edged over the line against Swindon, extended his scoring streak to 5 in as many games. The setback for the leaders, who found themselves in even more trouble midway through the second half. Ashley Westwood afforded a surprisingly easy route to goal against a team who'd won 12 of their last 13 league games. That other slip-up also came this month, cause perhaps for concern that the pace-setters are running out of luck at just the wrong time. Simon Ferry was certainly cursing his misfortune before Jonathan Tahui turned the rebound wide. And that crossbar, which played a role in the opening goal, did a sterling job for Crewe, also repelling Paul Benson.
The team at the top should play like we did at the last few minutes since the kick-off. But today the fault in first view is for Paolo Di Canio, because probably I lost in the last few weeks my humility.
With his future as Burton boss in doubt, Torquay were probably the last side Paul Pescasolido wanted to run into. Danny Stevens got the goals going as they cruised to an 11th win out of 14. The ease with which Torquay doubled their lead may have sealed Pescasolido's post-match sacking. Lee Mansell was the beneficiary of some generous Burton defending. Not that the mistakes were confined to the home side. Albion were briefly in it when Robert Elenick and Brian Sarr had a coming together. Justin Richards had the decency not to celebrate too much. With 5 promotions as a player and 1 as a manager, Martin Ling knows what it takes to take a side up. He says mental strength is the key, although ability like this helps as well. Rene Howe with the goal that settled this one. Torquay was certainly ruthless against the unravelling Burton. Taiwo Atieno made it 4 for the goals, who closed the gap on Swindon to 4 points ahead of their meeting on Tuesday. And the punishment didn't end there for Pescasolido. Without a win in 14 games, his reign ended with a whimper. Burton were awarded an injury time penalty after a foul on Andrew Corbett. You certainly can't blame the manager for Justin Richards' double miss, and let's be honest, it probably didn't help.
You don't always get the breaks when you're down at the bottom, but for once Plymouth got a slice of luck against Shrewsbury. Chris Neal letting Paul Watton's free kick slip through his fingers. That put Argyle on course for their first home win in 6 matches. Alex McDonald's fabulous effort almost left the Shrews in an even bigger hole. Having survived that scare, the promotion chasers set about repairing the damage. Mark Wright stinging the palms of Jake Cole. Marvin Morgan nearly rescued a point for Graham Turner's team, but Argyle held on to climb out of the bottom 2.
You have to feel sorry for Hereford's Kenny Lunt, whose commitment couldn't be faulted as he tried to prevent Southend's opener at Edgar Street. First with a clearance via the post, and then a brave block. Only for the ref to rule that Neil Harris's initial shot had crossed the line. The Essex club stretched their lead just past the half hour. Elliot Benyon quick to react as the home side floundered. Hereford, though, dragged themselves back into contention when a misunderstanding at the back saw Chris Barker sell his keeper short. Tom Barkhuizen tumbling over Cameron Balford before Johan Arkan beat him from the spot. For a while there was hope for the strugglers, but their prospects of collecting anything from the match receded again, thanks to Ryan Hall's daisy cutter. Southend were heading for the automatic promotion places, and Hereford the relegation zone for the first time since October. Nathan Alder's effort 2 minutes from the end, not enough.
And we've had a slight problem lately with losing late goals. It's cost us dear, and I think it's playing on people's minds, because definitely we sat back and tried to keep what we had, which is a dangerous game, and we nearly paid the price.
With only 9 games left, Cheltenham have chosen the wrong time for a wobble. The Robins recorded a 3rd straight defeat, with Gillingham's Jordan Obita making the most of some lax defending. The Jewels had 4 players suspended and another 6 out injured, but with Cheltenham struggling to defend the long ball, Obita was able to help himself to a 3rd goal in only his 2nd Jewels start. Mark Yates called this the Robins' worst performance of the season, but undermanned Gillingham deserved the plaudits for this performance. Chris Whelpdale finished off a win that strengthens the Jewels' playoff hopes.
A 7-match winless run has threatened to derail Crawley's promotion push, so a big effort needed against a Vale side unbeaten in their previous 4 away trips. Mark Richards continues to lead from the front. Just past the half hour, he put the Travellers in front. The home side were keen to impress on their own patch after being held on their 3 previous outings. And 10 minutes after falling behind, Billy Clark's teasing cross dropped perfectly for Sergio Torres. All square heading to the break, and just 2 minutes after it, Crawley's hopes of registering their first win since early February were given a timely boost. Scott Davis attempting to give Clayton MacDonald the slip, but was dumped on the deck. A second yellow card meant red, putting the odds firmly in Crawley's favour, but despite the setback, Vale refused to settle for a draw, and the 10 men edged ahead for a second time just before the hour. Louis Dodds first on the scene to restore the advantage. It's no surprise that the Sussex club has struggled since losing the goal-scoring prowess of Matt Tubbs and Tyrone Barnett, but Gary Alexander might just be the man to fill the void. His 2nd goal since arriving from Brentford squared the scores at 2-2. And his 17th goal of a productive campaign soon followed. After panic in the Vale box, debutant Leon Clark teed him up for the clincher. Crawley back in the groove.
We said to the players at half-time, we have to be brave. You know, we're going to have to inspire their supporters, and we're going to have to give them a reason to get behind us.
Oxford were out to maintain their playoff challenge against Rotherham, and Scott Rendell thought he'd struck the first blow. The flag said otherwise, but crucially it stayed down when he was given a clear run on goal just before the break. Rendell had plenty of time to think and kept his nerve. 7 minutes into the second half, Oxford seemed to be sitting pretty. Asa Hall thrashing a second into the roof of the Rotherham net to leave the Millers' own promotion aspirations hanging by a thread. 5 points adrift of their 7th placed opponents at the start of play, they could ill afford to lose. Rhys Taylor kept them in the contest with a superb save to deny Hall his 2nd. And with 7 minutes remaining, there was renewed hope for Andy Scott's side. Adam Chapman clattered clumsily into Jason Taylor, allowing Lewis Grabban to reduce the deficit. 2-1 now, but Oxford didn't crumble, instead forcing a desperate goal-line clearance from Michael Rains. It was matched at the other end by Michael Dewberry as the home side held on to maximum points.
A near miss by Mark Byrne was all Barnet had to show for dominating the first half against Morecambe. Instead, the Bees fell behind thanks to a howler from Liam O'Brien. He spilled Stuart Drummond's shot into the path of Kevin Ellison, who hasn't got to 17 goals by missing chances like that. Victory at Barnet last season was the result that effectively secured League 2 safety for Morecambe. Almost exactly a year later, a repeat performance at Underhill takes the Shrimps to the magical 50-point mark. Jack Redshaw's first senior goal made sure of the win. If the Bees are to avoid the drop, they'd better get busy. Luis Alessandra's near miss was about the only thing that went Barnet's way.
Aldershot were chasing a 5th successive home win, but Bradford made life difficult. Andrew Davies went close to the opener. The Bantams continued to cause problems. Big James Hansen had a pair of defenders in a flap, and Barnsley loanee Chris Dagnall failed to make it a goal-scoring debut. Instead, it was left to Wilco Risa to settle the contest. The Namibian striker in just the right place to notch his first for the club.
Paul Cook can finally celebrate a win as Accrington manager as his side put an end to Northampton's recent revival. Jamie Devitt first to raise hopes that Stanley could go one better than usual after a run of 3 successive draws. Northampton had just won 3 on the trot though, and Ben Tozer appeared confident. That terrific shot was just a warning. On 69 minutes the Cobblers were level. It was scruffy, but sub Brett Williams wouldn't be complaining as he scored with his first touch. Accrington looked to be heading for another point, but snatched the lot just 3 minutes from the end. A clean connection from Craig Lindfield to win the match, though there was still time for one final scare as the jitters set in at the back. Calvin Langmead so nearly saved the game for Northampton.
Mark McGee says he's demanding higher and higher standards from his upwardly mobile Bristol Rovers side. There was certainly plenty to admire about Mustafa Carriol's 11th minute opener. Carriol almost got a second, but it's hard to tell who came closer here, he or skipper Matt Gill, who almost claimed a first Pirates goal. But it's clean sheets that have been behind Rovers' rise. Scott Bevan's save from George Moncur secured the 5th of McGee's reign.
A crunch game down at the bottom as Dagenham looked to stay in touch with their survival rivals. Mediolito, who scored in the opening day fixture between these two, managed to leave Richard O'Donnell wrong-footed. That established a 16th minute lead for the London club, who would have been back at square one had it not been for the crossbar. Matt Smith denied a debut goal, Chris Lewington reacting sharply to keep out George Donnelly. And when Macclesfield's defence went AWOL, John Nurse had the chance to settle it. This time O'Donnell got his angles just right. But the keeper on loan from Sheffield Wednesday was left cursing by the finish as Alito wrapped up the points with his 2nd of the match. That brought a 3-match losing streak to an end to leave the Daggers a point from safety.
Yeah, that could be a vital win for Dagenham Redbridge come the end of the season. One management change to tell you about, incidentally, in League Two, with Paul Pescasolo parting company with Burton Albion. No win in 14, Steve. Hardly surprising.
Yeah, I also lost their last 6, so in fact, you look at it and think, well, it's getting actually progressively worse. And I don't think, to be fair, it would have been a massive surprise to Paul to know that his job was on the line. I think there's only 1 goal in 590 minutes as well, so you've got to give yourself a chance of winning games, and clearly they haven't.
They did lose to a very good Torquay side. 2 defeats in 16 now for Martin Ling, who's done brilliantly well considering he was out of the Football League for the last couple of years. Yeah,
I was Cambridge manager, wasn't it? And things didn't really go according to plan there either, but this has been a fantastic season so far for him. It's a thoroughly deserved win, and they've elevated themselves all of a sudden right into the automatics, and they are the shakers and the movers, there's no doubt about that. They're the team in form.
10 1-0 victories, 17 clean sheets. It all points to a very good season, doesn't it?
They've won 20, and 10 of those, as you say, half of those have been 1-0. So they know how to win a game, and there's no doubt about that. If they get ahead, they're difficult. They know how to close the game out.
Steve Davis at Crewe certainly making a statement while he's been in charge since replacing Dario Gradi. No bigger statement than beating the leaders, Swindon Town, who've won 12 of their last 13. And you've seen Nick Powell in action. He's a special talent.
I think he's a really, really good player. Got great technique. We saw the goal last week. That's another fine strike. And what you've got to say is, Crewe remind me a little bit of West Ham. It's not just about results with Crewe. Also, you want to play with
and the way
a bit of style, and you want to play with a little bit of panache, and I think that's what they're doing now. I think it was difficult to get a balance at the start of the season, but now we've got a little bit of consistency, some decent football being played, but also now we're getting some results along the way as well.
At the other end of the table, we've got Plymouth, who got themselves an invaluable win, it has to be said. Carl Fletcher, maybe not the most experienced of managers, but they've got a player who's come back to Plymouth and scored a great goal for them.
Well,
Well, OK,
I'm not sure Chris Neal, the goalkeeper, is going to say it's a great goal. I mean, clearly he should have taken that and he should have done a lot better. But at the end of the season, that might be a defining moment in Plymouth's stand to stay up, shall we say. So, yeah, a big moment for them there, and it went their way.
OK, before we go, let's take a look at the latest league tables then. Swindon stay at the top of NPAL League 2 despite only their second loss of 2012. Torquay are in second, only 4 points behind the Robins after their win at Burton. Southend's win and Shrewsbury's loss means they swap positions. Cheltenham, Crawley and Oxford all stay in the top 7. Dagenham stay at the bottom of League 2 despite their win over Macclesfield, and Plymouth's win means they move out of the bottom 2 at the expense of Hereford, who lost at home. And it's getting very tight though, as you can see there. Only 5 points separate the bottom 7. Charlton stay 9 points clear of Sheffield United in League 1 as both sides drew. Sheffield Wednesday's win means they're now level on points with their city rivals. In fact, Wednesday and Yeovil were the only teams to win in the top half. Rochdale's victory moves them off the bottom of League 1 as Chesterfield replaced them. Exeter dropped 2 places as they were the only team to lose in the bottom 4 on Saturday. Wycombe's good form continues meanwhile, and they're now just a point off Walsall. Southampton's late comeback means they stay at the top of the Championship. Reading's big away win sees them stay in second, and West Ham are now 3 points behind the Royals. Birmingham and Blackpool both move into the playoff positions after their crucial wins. Portsmouth stay bottom of the Championship after their draw. Coventry's point moves them above Doncaster. In fact, Ipswich, the only winners in the bottom half on Saturday afternoon. Right, now, before we go, the usual reminder, if you missed any of tonight's goals, we're on the red button and on Freeview until midday on Sunday. It's also on the iPlayer all week. But if you're after extended match highlights, they'll be on the BBC Sport website. And there's more football coming up on Sunday night. Join Colin Murray for Match of the Day 2 at 10 o'clock on 2. And that includes, of course, the leaders Manchester United up against Wolves. And we're back next week at the same time of 1:45 after Match of the Day on BBC One. Well, that's it for tonight. My thanks to Steve. And our thoughts tonight, of course, with Fabrice Muamba and his family. Good night.